Hi everybody and welcome to the capital of Nicaragua. We're in Managua tonight as we get closer to the halfway mark of this 2020 Apertura season in Liga Primera. And tonight it is a first ever meeting between one of the most successful teams in Nicaraguan club soccer history, Real Esteli. They with their 14 championships representing the Esteli region. The Train of the North, they take on for the first time ever the newcomers to Liga Primera in Junior Managua. So it's Esteli and Junior Managua tonight as we welcome you to our broadcast. I'm Ben Wilson. Very happy to have you alongside tonight on a rainy evening in the nation's capital at the Estadio Nacional. Just awaiting our teams coming out on the pitch between the league leaders in Esteli. A team, though, who are trying to recapture their top form, which they had at the very start of the season, won their opening 5 games before a draw at Walter Ferretti in this stadium a couple weeks ago. We had that match for you as well. While Junior Managua sit in 9th, just 1 win, but they have salvaged 3 draws in their first 7 matches. You see the Junior Managua starting 11 tonight with Jeremy Espinoza leading the way in goal. Jose Carrion makes his Liga Primera debut, the 31-year-old just transferring back into Liga Primera. He'll start along with Wilder Wilson. You see Carlos Membreno, the captain, along with Steven Caceres, who leads the back line. Bismarck Montiel, another top player and a former member of Esteli. He is in charge as well in that back 3 setting. He's also able to push up as well a 4-2-3-1 setting. As we look at the rest of that starting 11, including Luis Gaitan, Isaac Sequeira, Olston Reyes, Mike Cruz, another former Esteli man, and Jose Baltodano. As for Esteli, coming off a shocking 2-0 loss at rival Dirian Hen Wednesday night, as they crashed out of the League Cup in the quarterfinals, 2-1 on aggregate. A number of changes, 5 in all for the second-year technical director Holver Flores as Denver Fox. He returns to goal with a back line of Manuel Rosas, Cristian Gutierrez, Oscar Acevedo. He returns to the starting 11 with Luis Lopez, Marlon Lopez, Richard Rodriguez, and Henry Garcia in the middle of the park. We'll also see the 2020 debut of Edgar Castillo. He starts alongside Brandon Aertes and Juan Barrera in that front 3 of the 3-4-3. Castillo has been incredible at the youth team level, 8 goals in 7 matches before his call-up on Wednesday. He did not play in that match at Dirian Hen. He was on the bench, but now he gets to start tonight after pacing the team. Actually, he was tied for second on the team last spring with 4 goals in just 12 matches as an 18-year-old in the Clausura season. Just waiting for the teams to come out onto the pitch again. Esteli, top of the league, 6 wins and a draw, no losses in their 7 league matches so far, but they are trying to bounce back, falling in the League Cup on Wednesday in the midweek, snapping a 16-game unbeaten streak when they fell at their arch rivals by a 2-0 scoreline. It was the same story for Junior Managua, the newest member of Liga Primera, just formed back in 2016. It's a great story that we are excited to tell you about. Los Tiburones, the Sharks in the nation's capital. But they also were eliminated from the League Cup. They actually had a surprising run. They were a second division team last year, upset both Las Sabanas and Walter Ferretti to get to the quarterfinals. But they, this year, as the newly promoted side, were then upset by a second division side, Somotillo. They fell 3-3, losing on away goals after a 2-2 draw in this stadium on Wednesday night. In fact, Junior Managua have actually drawn 5 consecutive matches, including 3 of their 5 in this stadium. It's a familiar stadium for Esteli, as for many teams in Liga Primera. Nearly half of the 10 first division sides use the stadium, the Estadio Nacional in Managua. In fact, there was a match earlier tonight, a few hours ago, as Walter Ferretti took on Ocotao. As you take a look at our officials tonight. Tatiana Guzman leading the way with Henry Pupiro and Franklin Loasija as the linesman. Bayardo Juarez is our fourth official tonight. So a field that is getting a lot of play, that's for sure, as we're getting ready to start. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff local time in the capital of Nicaragua. As we take a look one more time at the starting 11, Junior Managua have scored 6 goals so far through their 7 matches, paced by Juan Rosales with 2 goals, who will actually be on the bench tonight. We'll see if he factors in, the 28-year-old from Nicaragua, who's been the top attacker on this Tiburones side. But they have gotten some good contributions out of their defense. You look at Steven Caceres. He and Bismarck Montiel have both scored, despite primarily playing defensive roles. Although, as you can see from a moment ago on that lineup sheet, Montiel will line up more in a defensive midfield spot and can press forward up the pitch. So the teams have taken the pitch now. We'll start just a couple minutes after the 8 p.m. local starting time in Managua. It is the 8th match day out of 18 in this Apertura season. If you're not oriented with Liga Primera in Nicaragua, 18 matches in the fall, then they play a knockout tournament to decide the Apertura fall champion. Take a short winter break, run it back, same thing in the spring. And Real Esteli are looking to repeat, make it 3 straight championships. They won the double last year, both the fall and spring tournaments. And they clinched last spring in this building as they beat Managua, the Blue Lions, who also play at this venue, 4-2 on aggregate to claim their 14th title, second all-time, behind only Dirian Head. Fans have been allowed back into the stadium as of a couple weeks ago, but at least all the noise we're hearing so far from the Junior Managua players, who are still building up a following. We might be able to see some fans later. For the most part in the Estadio Nacional, they have been on the ends of the goals. There have not been too many fans congregated in the middle, so we'll see if that ends up being a factor tonight. As Tatiana Guzman blows her whistle and we are underway. It's a true David versus Goliath tonight as Junior Managua in the blue jerseys. They kick us off. Esteli in the white with the red from Managua, the nation's capital, on a rainy Saturday night. We're expecting off and on showers, possibly some storms rolling in before the night is done. Temperatures, as they are traditionally this time of year, in the upper 70s, extremely humid in Managua. The cooling breaks are still in effect as well. That should not come as too much of a surprise. We'll get those at the half-hour marks in both our first and second halves. First ever meeting between these two teams. Esteli, they and Dirian Hen are really the two that you think of if you follow Liga Primera. Those are the two teams that come to mind who have shared nearly 40 titles between the two of them, whereas Junior Managua have won only 1 match in their Liga Primera career. The first shot of the night, well wide of the goalie's box. As we take a look there at Jeremy Espinoza, shot coming from the defenseman Christian Gutierrez. I mentioned how 5 changes coming for Esteli after their first loss since April on Wednesday night. Gutierrez, though he did start in that match, a match that easily could have ended 0-0, and one of those changes we're seeing tonight possibly a result of the struggles at goalie. And we might see Denver Fox in a moment, as it's a first chance to push for Junior Managua and Olston Reyes. Bismarck Montiel playing it back, and the first shot forces a nice save out of Denver Fox. What a blistering thump from Luis Gaitan, looking for his first goal of the season. Played in this venue last year, though, as a member of the Managua Blue Lions, I should say 2 years ago, before transferring now in his second year with Los Tiburones. And Denver Fox, who it really seemed had lost his starting keeping position to Rodrigo Romo, who was finally brought into the team after a delay coming in from Spain. But Romo really struggled on Wednesday night. He had started all but one match since his arrival, was delayed due to the, of course, COVID travel complications coming from Spain, but he gave up 2 goals that, if you're being honest, were pretty rough, should not have been conceded. Essentially just fumbling the ball on a couple set pieces that contributed to that 2-0 Esteli loss. And as a result, Denver Fox, who has been very solid, and he's been called upon, the 4th-year keeper, primarily a backup over the last couple seasons, a very raw, young talent, but he's athletic, and he had to show it off there, tipping that ball over the bar and out for a corner. And that's the first real action of the night. As we've gotten a chance to look both at the stands in the central part of the pitch as well as behind the goals, it does appear that there are not any fans tonight. Liga Primera did begin allowing a 50% fan capacity, and we did see that play a big role, and that included the League Cup as well, which is run by Liga Primera. It had a big impact in Esteli's loss at Dirian Hen. The Cacique had a fantastic crowd for the Clásico Nacional rivalry match on Wednesday, just like there was a great atmosphere last weekend in Esteli when those two met in Liga Primera. This is a foul, as you can hear Christian Gutierrez howling in pain on the turf. He's been involved early. He took a shot in the first minute and now is called for a foul. It was a follow-through, though, of Bismarck Montiel that caught him a bit. A double whammy for the 27-year-old Esteli defender, as he not only concedes the foul but also comes up a bit worse for wear, but we'll look to shake it off, and we take another look. So Bismarck Montiel, who did score last weekend in the Tiburones Liga Primera match, last match in the league they played, as I mentioned, had the League Cup on Wednesday in that 2-legged affair. But Junior Managua, kind of amazing, 5 straight draws in all competitions. Here, though, a chance for Esteli to push. Juan Barrera was flashing in the middle of the box. He calls for the ball, but instead a cross comes over everybody and right to Jeremy Espinoza, who was the backup keeper with Managua last season, did not get really any action and stays in the nation's capital, just 19. And as you would expect, a team like Junior Managua, a team that as a club, just overall less than 5 years old, they have a mix. It's an interesting mix of extremely young players, a lot of teenagers that veteran manager Tyrone Acevedo in his first season will need quick development from. But they also do have a number of players who have been battle-tested in the Liga Primera waters. Actually, 6 players on the roster who have won titles with various teams, including a couple former Esteli players who we do see each in the starting lineup tonight in Mike Cruz and Bismarck Montiel. Both of those players were on the 2018-19 team that won the spring tournament. As it's the first corner of the night for Esteli. So a smattering of fans on this side. Of course, the rain and the storms in the area might be contributing to that a bit. And Luis Lopez takes it, low corner, and that's knocked out of play. Big thump against the barrier on the near side of the pitch. There's a look down at the touchline. Call order for the 42-year-old Tyrone Acevedo, who was hired back in July. He's also concurrently the Nicaragua U17 national team coach. Brandon Ayertis, you see there, called for a foul, but Acevedo, he is a veteran. Former player, played for Walter Ferretti, who called this stadium their home as well. Dirian Hen played for and had 14 caps with the Nicaraguan national team. Has Now coaching in his, or for his 5th different team in Liga Primera. Jalapa, Walter Ferretti, Dirian Hen, Managua, Real Madrid. So actually 5 in the past. This is his 6th. But he's not seen any stint of his last more than a season, so he's hoping that this will be the start of a rebuild. The big goal this year is just purely survival for Junior Managua, Los Tiburones. And while they sit 9th out of the 10 teams in the table, you look at it and they've been, you could argue on one hand, unfortunate to only have the 1 win. They had 2 matches where they conceded in the final minutes, an own goal to draw 1-1 against Dirian Hen in the 89th minute. Conceded in the 90th against Chinandega in a 2-2 draw. And if you flip those results, if they hang on and get wins, they would be 5th in the table. So a team that is played above what the expectations were coming into the year, Junior Managua. This cross comes into the box. Chasing it down is Jose Balcodano, who has not scored in the league this year, but did score in their League Cup tie, first leg last week at Somotillo. And he does earn a corner. And we'll see for the first time the former Esteli man, Mike Cruz, coming off a career high, scored 3 goals for Managua with the Blue Lions last year. Corner ball looking for Isaac Sequeira, the very talented 20-year-old this club is extremely high on. Has already won a Liga Primera title as an 18-year-old with Managua. That was 2 seasons ago in the Apertura. But Esteli, who have been very good defensively. Not as good as they were last season when they tied for the league lead, 16 clean sheets, and by far allowed the fewest goals of anybody. But not bad so far, allowing 4 goals through 7 matches. As part of their 6 wins and 1 draw in 7 match mark. 10 minutes in, though, and the possession has been pretty even for the most part, with the best chance coming for Junior Managua. Off the foot of Luis Gaitan, forcing an excellent save out of Denver Fox. Mentioned how Fox is replacing Rodrigo Romo, who had a night to forget on Wednesday, and here Fox under pressure. It didn't look all that convincing as he gets rid of it, takes a deflection out of play. You could see down by the touchline in that purple shirt, Tyrone Acevedo pleading his case for a throw, but instead it goes to Oliver Flores and his men for Esteli. The second-year manager is Flores, who lost for just the 4th time in 34 matches in all competitions on Wednesday. Another Esteli corner, though, is on the way. As I mentioned with Fox, he replaces Romo in goal tonight. It's been a revolving door at goal for Junior Managua. They've used 3 different keepers pretty routinely. It's been an even split. Just the 3rd appearance for Espinoza tonight, as a great ball finds the head of Acevedo. A free header, but he puts it over the bar. Probably should have been 1-0 Esteli, but just could not get the angle right as the 23-year-old came streaking into the box. Unmarked at the back post, and you saw on the replay Juan Barrera, leading goal scorer in Liga Primera with his 9 this season, putting his hands on his head. Couldn't believe that didn't go down. And even with some of the recent struggles, and they are very minor, just in comparison to the rest of the league for Esteli, but despite those and the way Junior Managua have played above their weight this year, this is still, you would have to think, a big mismatch with Esteli being heavily favored tonight, coming on the road. This is The first of 2 straight matches they'll play in this venue at Managua. Big match next Saturday against the Blue Lions. They've been here once already this fall, 0-0 draw against Walter Ferretti. But with that slight dip in form, it's not quite where it was at. You think about Esteli, they started the season and picked up right where they left off from their title last year, as they just blitzed everybody. 5 wins and a draw in 6 preseason games in which they outscored their opponents 20-2. And most of those preseason friendlies were against fellow Liga Primera sides. They beat Juventus Managua, for instance, 6-0 in one of those. Appeals for handball. Also a hit on the edge of the box, and after all of that, it ends up being a free header that's bounced right into the arms of Denver Fox. A wild sequence there. You had a near handball, a near foul on the edge of the box, and then you didn't get a good look at who that was, but an unmarked header put right at the 24-year-old in goal for Esteli. And so each team have seen pretty good chances, and we'll get another look. That ball popped up by Cáceres, the 25-year-old who has scored once this season, and he and Bismarck Montiel, the 2 players who have been on the pitch for all 630 minutes. They've played 90 minutes in each of the first 7 match days in this Liga Primera season. Based on the early pace and movement, you'd think goals would be coming, with Castillo called for offside. About a quarter hour in. The one thing that any newly promoted side, you can look at any league in the world, but if you come from that second division to the top flight, defending can be a real issue, especially at the start of the year. And Junior Managua, they got off to a rough start, losing 3 of their first 4 matches. And they've conceded 13 times. Barrera offside here, second most in the league. One off the highest total, but they've definitely shown a great amount of improvement. Started off with a 2-0 loss at Managua, 3-1 loss at Ocotal after they beat Jalapa for their first ever Liga Primera win. A 4-0 loss against Walter Ferretti, but that was their last loss. Since then, 5 consecutive draws, and they have been much better defensively. No more than 2 goals allowed in any of their matches since then. So they're cleaning it up, but will still be vulnerable against a, you would think, frustrated Esteli side who are determined to get back to winning ways after that 2-0 loss at Birrianhen on Wednesday. A side who have scored 16 goals in their first 7 matches. Looking for Gutierrez on the free kick coming in, but it's cut out. Barrera for Rodriguez. Back to Barrera. This cross is a good one. Can't find anybody after Rodriguez had started the play. There was a trailer on the edge of the box, but that ball a little bit out of his range. And eventually, Junior Managua wins the throw. Nice play by Austin Reyes, who scored one of those 2 goals on Wednesday in the 2-2 draw against Somatillo. Again, very few fans in the venue tonight. It is raining. It's been that way most of the evening, and we're expecting that to continue in the nation's capital. But fans have been allowed back, and there has been a good amount of fan support in a socially distant manner, being required to wear masks and follow all the protocols around the league over the past couple weeks. Juan Barrera gives chase, and he'll be called for a foul behind the play. Now, the interesting thing about the Nicaraguan setup, some leagues treat their League Cup as an entirely different entity, whereas in Nicaragua, it's the same governing body, so you're actually allowed to, and Esteli did this with Juan Barrera. He picked up a red card, picked up 2 yellows, and was sent off in that 1-0 win against Dirian Hen last Saturday. And normally, in a lot of cases, you would be forced to serve your 1-match suspension within the competition you pick that suspension up in, if that makes any sense. So you would have thought Barrera would be forced to sit tonight's match out as it's the next Liga Primera match, but instead he was allowed to serve his suspension on Wednesday night. So he did not play in the second leg of that League Cup loss, and maybe no coincidence then that Esteli failed to find the back of the net for just the second time all season in all competitions. And you can tell Barrera, in that match Wednesday, it was the first match he missed out on this season. Has started now in all 8 Liga Primera ties. And it is obvious, based on his early activity, he's been chomping at the bit all week to get back out there. After Luis Lopez sends in the corner. Rodriguez after the ball out wide. Good ball in, flicked on, and a free header for Castillo is sent just over the bar. Edgar Castillo, who's been a goal-scoring machine. The senior club tonight, a golden opportunity, and that's the second free header right at the edge of the 6-yard box that Esteli have put over. Castillo, he's not used to missing those, and you could say, well, all right, he's done great at the U20 level, so it's no guarantee it'll translate. But he was very solid in his brief call-up stint at the end of last season in the spring when he scored 4 goals in 12 matches. And following Esteli, a bit surprising to see him go back down to the youth team. They have a very strong U20 team entering this week. Top of the table, just like the big club. Although they did draw 3-3 earlier today with Junior Managua. That's a surprising result, as the junior U20 side had been by far the worst team in the league, just 1 win. Offside called on the far side of the pitch as we're nearing the halfway mark of our opening 45. We saw Castillo a moment ago, the 18-year-old. He replaces another 18-year-old who is out tonight, Harold Medina, not even in the 18. He started on Wednesday and has been a key piece of this Esteli club. Starting 6 of the first 7 Liga Primera matches, but he is not involved tonight. It's Castillo who fills in for him. And with those 5 changes for Holver Flores, we will see if they pay dividends. And I would think those 5 changes might have been coming regardless, just with the condensed schedule, having played now 2 consecutive weeks with Saturday and Wednesday matches. Looking to play Barrera through. He appears to be onside. As Castillo waiting for him in the box. Barrera goes deep, and it was a good ball, but couldn't be dealt with. It's field turf surface at Estadio Nacional in Managua. And near miscommunication leading to disaster as Fox came out. Rosas had tracked back, but Manuel Rosas, he is an experienced leader of that back line, and he doesn't panic. Able to clear the danger for Esteli as they queue up another ball into the area. Great from Barrera. Chance to play it in, and Castillo couldn't quite get there. Another glorious chance for Esteli. And what a piece of quality on that through ball from Juan Barrera. That was brilliant. Luis Lopez charging in. Just could not pick out the sliding right boot of Edgar Castillo. And the good end-to-end pace continues. It's been a fun first half of our opening 45. Now Luis Lopez, who had a beautiful chance to set up that assist. He hasn't played much. His first start tonight since the opener. And just his third Liga Primera appearance tonight. A little bump in the back on Olston Reyes. Chips it forward. There's Montiel, the former Esteli man. Now tries to center, but Richard Rodriguez ready for it. A great read. As it's Garcia who pushes forward. Brandon Aertes now streaks down the right flank. It just feels, based on this pace, we've seen now 3 great opportunities for Esteli. You'd think they'd capitalize soon. But Castillo, again, can't get on the end of it. Barrera was open in front of goal. Another good ball played ahead, this time on the Junior Managua side, who easily could have scored earlier. They've had a couple good looks of their own. Nice pass on the overlay, in on goal, and Denver Fox is able to get down and get wide as he makes the save. Second good chance of the night for Junior Managua as we continue to go end-to-end. Aertes the intended target there, and here's this perfect ball chipped in. Isaac Sequeira took maybe an extra half second to get that ball out from under his feet. But for a young keeper like Denver Fox, who has been mostly a backup, that is really, really good to be calm, under pressure, not start flailing at the ball. He stuck to his fundamentals, just got down, made himself as big as possible, and comes up with a save. Now, well done for Denver Fox, who I'm sure he could read between the lines, having been the backup on Wednesday, watching what happened as Rodrigo Romo gave up 2 goals that any goalie you talk to at the professional level will say should never have been allowed. And so Fox knows this is his chance to prove to his coaches he should be the #1 guy. He was the only goalie through most of the preseason camps, and he's taken a lot of reps since last spring when he filled in for a first injured and then suspended Henry Maradiaga. And Maradiaga, the Esteli side, consequently let go. He went to Jalapa, transferred over the offseason. And so Fox was the only guy throughout the preseason, and I mentioned the difficulties just with travel restrictions, and that's really put a hamper on any international transfer business, especially for smaller countries trying to attract players from Europe and elsewhere. And so Rodrigo Romo did not arrive until just a couple days before the opener and had to get match fit, follow all the protocols with getting integrated into the team. But it was pretty clear, at least it had been clear after Romo's insertion, that he was going to be the guy. They gave him the #1 shirt. Usually that's what the starting keeper gets to wear. So that will be an interesting keeper battle to watch. And Denver Fox has made 2 really nice saves in the opening 26-plus minutes tonight. Attacking on the flanks, it's Garcia. There's a good ball batted away. As Espinoza, the 19-year-old, coming off of his line and cuts off the angle. I have to give credit to Espinoza for that read, operating in that sweeper-keeper type role. At Esteli, they have just carved up Junior Managua on the flanks in the opening half hour. Here's another look. It's been pretty simple. The way you see Junior Managua, they've really condensed their defenders in the midfield and have been incredibly exposed on those outside wings. And so as a goalie, it takes a lot of aggressiveness, also confidence to come out. Know that you can't just sit back, or else those crosses into dangerous areas will just keep coming in from Esteli. But despite all that open space Esteli has had, you have to be impressed. Junior Managua holding up pretty well. As they get a goal kick here, Juan Barrera couldn't quite handle that bouncing ball coming in. And the team 9th in Liga Primera of their 10 teams, Junior Managua, hanging tough with the league's top side in Real Esteli. As they try to keep their margin over Walter Ferretti, who entered the 8th match day 2 points behind. Ferretti also unbeaten. They've drawn twice as opposed to the one draw for Esteli. And as I mentioned, they played earlier tonight in this same venue. Hence, we have the late 8 p.m. primetime kickoff, local time in Managua. And that is 10 p.m. on the East Coast in the U.S. If you're watching overseas in Europe, want to thank you for joining, even though it's very late at night or early in the morning, depending on however you want to define that. The ay you can hear from Brandon Ayertis just can't quite track that one down as the first half hour of close calls for Esteli continues. That's been the theme, I'd say, for both teams as we've reached our first half cooling break, with both sides still deadlocked at 0-0. By the way, while we have a moment, just pulling up the score from earlier, it was a bit of a surprising result. Walter Ferretti and Jalapa played to a 0-0 draw. Jalapa's surprising start to the year continues as they entered tonight 3rd in the table. Esteli coming in with 19 points, Walter Ferretti 17, and then Jalapa and Chinandega surprise 3rd and 4th at 11 points for Jalapa, 10 for Chinandega. And Jalapa earns a draw in the nation's capital tonight in this building earlier. So Esteli will remain top of the league no matter what happens tonight, but they can increase their lead on Walter Ferretti to 4 points, as next weekend will represent the official halfway mark of the 2020 Apertura season. Of course, the outright title, it's not as big a deal as you would think compared to other leagues, and it's a format that a lot of Central American countries use, where you play the tournaments, the Apertura, Clausura tournaments, and so it really just matters that you're in the top 2, because 6 make it into the playoff draw, 6 of the 10, and the top 2 seeds get buys into the semifinals, where it is a single-legged tie in the quarters, then 2 legs in both the semis and the finals. So it's important to get the top 2, and right now, Esteli and Walter Ferretti, they have far and away been the top 2 teams, with how good and surprising Jalapa and Chinandega have been, sitting a distant 3rd and 4th. Managua and Dirianhen have been equally surprising in a disappointing way. Managua sitting in 5th at just 9 points so far. So you would expect both those teams to improve, but right now that's how it would look. Managua, Dirianhen in the quarterfinals, and the surprising Jalapa and Chinandega in as well, with those playoff winners, as it would stand now, to face Esteli, the 1 seed, and Walter Ferretti, the 2 seed. Of course, I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself. Still a long way to go. Still 9 matches left in the Apertura. We played 7 so far. You see Tatiana Guzman, our lead official tonight. She has a good laugh. About what? I'm not sure, but looks like this leisurely cooling break is coming to an end. It has been raining consistently throughout the evening, but it is still pretty warm and humid. As Esteli and Junior Managua resume. And this is a match that could easily, if this scoreline read at the top left of your screen 3-1 Esteli, it would not be a surprise. It would probably be fair in all honesty. It could easily be 3-2 right now. Here comes Ayerdes. This cross blocked out. Ayerdes stays with it. Does get the cross in this time. Charging in and firing wide from the edge of the box. I believe that's Castillo. Yes, it is. Edgar Castillo. He was next to Luis Lopez. And the last-ditch defending continues to hold up for Junior Managua. How about a mistake there from the keeper, Espinoza. Mentioned that mix of players for Junior Managua. So many teenagers who are in their first season of top-flight action, who were part of the championship team from last year in the second division. Now, what a year it was. They won the second division, earning automatic promotion. Also had 2 upsets in the League Cup, advancing to the quarterfinals, including a shocking win over Walter Ferretti. They won 2-1 on aggregate in that tie. And that was one of the last matches they played before the shutdown. Esteli again pushing forward. Those long legs of Edgar Castillo run it down. Now Richard Rodriguez has a go and hits side netting. That curling away from Espinoza. Richard Rodriguez, the only player to have played every minute in the league so far for Esteli. Just a bit wide. But I did mention how that match before the stoppage was the League Cup win for Junior Managua over Walter Ferretti. Of course, I mentioned stoppage. It was only the League Cup, though, that was put on pause. The rest of the league, Liga Primera, the second division, did continue thanks to a very low number of COVID cases, and that has continued. There has not been really a significant surge of cases, unlike so many other countries globally. This cross comes in, headed back out, and the danger cleared away by Esteli as far as the defenseman Wilder Wilson. Another good cross and an open man at the back post, but as the theme continues to be, that time Jose Baltodano completely scuffs it. Well, you've probably seen a half dozen instances combined on both sides of players left unmarked in the box in great positions, but just unable to capitalize. As it remains 0-0. So really the only thing scheduling-wise that was impacted by COVID in Nicaragua was the League Cup, and that just resumed last week. Has made for a busy couple weeks. Esteli, I'm sure they are extremely happy to face a team not named Dirian Hen. They met for the last 3 contests, 2 of them the 2-legged tie in the League Cup, and then last weekend in Liga Primera. And Junior Managua, by virtue of making the quarterfinal round, they've been equally busy, as they drew at Real Madrid's 1-1 last weekend, sandwiched between their 2 draws in the League Cup tie against Somotillo, which they lost on away goals. There was the foul on Henry Garcia. His ball into the area is out of the reach of everybody. And Espinoza looks to bring it out quickly. Picked off by Montiel, one of the two former Real Esteli players. The other was the player he just passed to, Mike Cruz. Nice little interplay as Luis Lopez sends it out wide. Richard Rodriguez, his ball in, parried away by Espinoza. And rocketed out. Looks like another Esteli corner. So the visitors, the Train of the North, continue to apply the pressure, but Junior Managua holding strong at the back. And Luis Lopez playing in his hometown, one of a number of players from Managua, the 21-year-old will tee this up. A good ball in the corner. Unable to pick out a teammate, though. So don't let that 0-0 scoreline deceive you. There have been a ton of chances between last year's Liga Primera champion, Real Esteli, and last year's second division champion in Junior Managua. It is a great story, just the club as a whole, Junior Managua. Again, only formed about 5 years ago, back in 2016, by a Colombian, Don Eliezer Trios. This ball coming out wide again. Henry Garcia using that pace. Gets around one man, gets this ball in. Unable to pick out Lopez. Lopez keeps it alive and then earns another corner. Wilder Wilson sends it out. But Don Eliezer, he's from Barranquilla, moved to Nicaragua in the 60s. He played for and managed for the now defunct America FC in Nicaragua. As this cross comes in, good angled header. That was Barrera, but couldn't quite find the top corner. The man they call El Iluminado, the enlightened one. He always finds, it seems, new ways to score, and that was nearly one of them. But you think back to what I was just mentioning a moment ago, the origin story of Junior Managua. And so Don Eliezer, his childhood club growing up in Barranquilla was Atlético Junior. And he basically had his son Ricardo when they were coming up with the new team. They wanted to mirror it completely after his boyhood club, Athletic Junior in Barranquilla, Colombia. They play in the top flight there. Very successful club. Shot from long range. That is easily collected by Fox. Off the shot from Mike Cruz. So they've actually created the club. It's the same name, essentially. Junior Managua. They have the same colors, the same crest. They're even the same nickname. Los Tiburones, the Sharks, everything. All in homage to the now 66-year-old Don Eliezer and his boyhood club. And so you love to see stories like that. A club is born out of history and tradition and just a labor of love coming from scratch, essentially. And pretty amazing that in only their fourth season they achieved promotion, which at the time the club was formed, Don Eliezer, he basically said the ultimate goal was to make it to Liga Primera. And they have done that. And basically all that is left, the club's ownership, they want to play a friendly at some point in the future against Atlético Junior and go to Barranquilla, which is what would really be the dream come true of all this. Another good ball in. That's Barrera in a great position. And again, his shot gets blocked out. Actually, this time, Edgar Castillo, and along with Brandon Ayertes getting into the box, it was Ayertes who had that shot. Almost a game of chicken played there as Henry Espinoza refused to go down and makes the save. See if we get another look. A great first touch from Ayeres. Had Castillo to his right. And the 19-year-old Espinoza makes the solid save. As we approach halftime, it is astounding that this match is still 0-0, I have to say. Based on the chances, you would think probably 3-1 right now would be a fair scoreline. So many chances for Esteli, and a good amount for Junior Managua as well. This has not been your stereotypical minnow versus big boy matchup where it's one-way traffic as far as attacking. Junior Managua, they've not been afraid to push. But Esteli in those white jerseys and the red stripe representing the Train of the North. Yeah, just have to imagine with their goal-scoring acumen, they'll find a way to break through at some point. Maybe not in this half as we're running out of time. But before the night is over, as Richard Rodriguez lays it out wide. Lopez a good ball. Barrera in between a double team, and it looked like he pushed off. A little shoulder lowered. And that is a foul, and it will be a free kick for Junior Managua. As we, of course, broadcasting this match remotely, so we'll hope to get a better camera angle, see who is down on the pitch. And that'll bring out the training staff. I believe that is the captain, Carlos Membreno. Membreno, we'll see if we can confirm that here in a second. As they tend to the Junior Managua player down on the pitch. Yeah, but just kind of tying a bow on that origin story of Junior Managua, just how cool that is to see a idea and a dream come to fruition. Of course, we want to thank our contacts with Liga Primera, who have given us a lot of great information. Alan Chamorro, who works closely with Real Esteli, getting us a lot of that fantastic information about the history of these clubs. And while a quick Google search usually can suffice, for a club like Junior Managua, there's not a whole lot known about them. So we do appreciate our sources for helping us out there. So Membreno looks to be okay as he's helped off the pitch. We have just a minute of stoppage time at the end of this first half. And despite all those chances, it does appear as though we'll head to the locker rooms knotted up at 0-0. Between number 1 in the league, Esteli, the defending champions, and the newcomers, second last in the league so far, Junior Managua. But they've been an impressive side so far, showing no fear against Esteli. And despite a boatload of chances for the visitors through 45 minutes, we remain deadlocked 0-0 from the nation's capital between Real Esteli and Junior Managua. We will step aside, take our own halftime break, so stick with us. We'll be back for our second half. As you see, the first half numbers, 14 combined shots, 5 on target just for Esteli alone, but still no score at the break. We'll be back in a moment. It is, again, at the halftime intermission, Real Esteli 0 and Junior Managua 0.
¿Viste que la nota que hice cuando me cortaste de
Me disculpé, pero no la he visto.
No, a ver, le iban a ver, se ve de viaje el corte.
Ya, hombre,
En las
verdad,
dos.
no va a volver a pasar, no, ya sé, no, otro estoy 5 segundos más.
No, es que se sentaba ahí.
Mierda, que recuerdes.
Ahí te voy a contar.
Nos has acompañado en cada minuto jugando. Has estado con tu camiseta alentando en la gradería. El Independencia ha rugido con tu grito de combate. Tus bengalas han iluminado los campos de juego. Has estado en cada batalla, en cada victoria, en cada derrota. Esta vez, por las circunstancias en las que enfrenta el mundo, por esa batalla que vamos a ganar, las graderías están vacías, pero nunca nos sentimos solos, porque tu camiseta, tu grito, tus bengalas nos iluminaron el corazón hasta el último minuto. Y como en cada final, dejamos todo en la cancha por vos. Este título tiene tu nombre. Gracias, fanaticada. Yo soy del tren.
Viví la nueva experiencia digital del campeón nacional de Nicaragua. Ingresá a realestelifc.com y disfruta de la nueva app online del Tren del Norte. Noticias, resultados, estadísticas, videos y todas nuestras series en un solo lugar. Recibí notificaciones directamente en tu dispositivo. Suscríbete ahora y sé parte de la familia rojiblanca.
The Train of the North invites you to subscribe to its new YouTube channel, where you can enjoy live matches, scores, interviews, and exclusive content from the greatest soccer club and reigning Nicaraguan champion. The time to be engaged with the international train has arrived. Follow the train from the north.
Llegó el momento de dar el gran paso.
De pasar el legado a una nueva generación.
Es el momento de trascender.
Y ser más que un gran equipo.
Es el momento de honrar grandes proezas.
Y recordar grandes momentos.
Porque la historia no solo se recuerda.
La historia se escribe y se vive.
Hoy más que nunca vamos con el tren a todas partes.
Porque somos un solo equipo.
Llevamos la sangre kamikaze.
Por un solo campeón.
Por una sola grandeza.
Por un nuevo Real Esteli.
Grande, solo el tren.
Hoy no solo nace un nuevo equipo.
Hoy nace una institución que evoluciona.
Es el inicio de una nueva era.
El legado continúa.
El diamante de las Segovias brilla por sí mismo. Eran los 60s cuando dejamos de esperar ese sueño que nos llegó sobre rieles e iniciamos la búsqueda de nuestro propio legado. La participación de un primer campeonato nos abrió paso a la época dorada del fútbol nacional. De ahí partió nuestro propio tren, el Tren del Norte. Fue en la siguiente parada donde se marcó el inicio de nuestra leyenda. En julio del 91, una ronda de penales inauguró la época real. Por los últimos 30 años, hemos ido con el tren a todas partes, con un corazón rojo y el alma blanca. Campeones que salimos al mundo por Nicaragua. Volvemos a la independencia con la emoción de la próxima temporada, defendiendo una racha imparable del Club Nacional de Fútbol más exitoso hasta la fecha. 8,000 almas nos reunimos en el mejor estadio de fútbol del país a celebrar, llorar, sufrir y rugir por la camiseta roja y blanca. La barra kamikaze entrega todo en las gradas por la hegemonía y el legado de su equipo. Juntos sudamos la camiseta y brillamos por nuestros propios compromisos con el deporte nacional. Somos el Tren, quienes orgullosamente representamos la primera institución deportiva de Centroamérica. Ese es nuestro legado. Un mismo equipo, un mismo país, la herencia que viene de la montaña. Ahora, una marca deportiva de campeones nicaragüenses con futuras generaciones que seguirán brillando como diamantes en la corona del Real Esteli.
Welcome back to the Estadio Nacional in Managua, Nicaragua. We are through 45 minutes of action tonight in match day 8 of this 2020 Liga Primera Apertura season. And so far, yet to see a goal, but we have not had a shortage of chances tonight. 6 shots on goal between the two sides combined as Real Esteli and Junior Managua remain even at 0-0. I'm Ben Wilson. Pleased to have you back with us on a drizzly evening in the nation's capital, although it looks like, well, it's still a little bit misty and overcast. The rain has lightened up. Of course, we are broadcasting remotely. Want to thank everybody involved behind the scenes for helping us get on the air. On the technical side, I mentioned Alan Chamorro, who's helped us with a lot of the information and keeping us up to speed on all things Liga Primera. Of course, also want to thank Michael Pendergrass, Ben Reynolds, David Lang, and Tom Reed for all of their great and hard work as well. Just waiting for the players to come out. You would think, and again, 0-0 does not really tell the story of that first half. It was a half that easily could have seen 3 or 4 goals put across. And you look at the matchup, it would seem to be a mismatch on paper. Esteli, the visitors, the top team in Liga Primera, 6 wins and a draw, no losses in their 7 league matches. Junior Managua, only 5 years old as a club in their first ever top flight season, with just 1 win in 7 matches. But Los Tiburones, they've held their own on their home pitch tonight. And we'll be looking for another hard-earned point. They've actually drawn their last 5 matches in all competitions, including 3 in the league. So they have earned 6 points. They're not in the basement, 9th out of the 10 teams so far. And we'll be trying to see if they can keep this match level for as long as possible. Maybe even snag a goal against the run of play, as they had a couple opportunities to do so in the first half. As I mentioned, Esteli, they are the league leaders, and they will stay that way regardless of the result tonight, because Walter Ferretti, who were 2 points behind them coming into this week, they drew earlier tonight on this very ground, 0-0 against Jalapa. And mentioning the weather conditions, by the way, this is interesting. You don't see this often in a soccer match, but the other fixture tonight on the schedule, Dirian Hen against Managua. That's a big match between 2 underachieving clubs in the early part of the season. That match was actually called off due to heavy rains. We had the rain come through the nation's capital in Managua, but a torrential downpour and storms in the area, so they actually called off that match. And they will reschedule playing at 3 o'clock local time tomorrow afternoon. So a couple subs coming on at the half. You saw the first one announced. Samuel Padilla, the 18-year-old defender, comes on for Jose Carrion, who is making his season debut for Junior Managua, while Luis Acuna comes on for Edgar Castillo. So the 2 players making their debuts at the top flight for both clubs only go a half, so maybe not too surprising there, just trying to get them up to speed. Although Castillo has been a key in the Esteli under-20 team so far. Luis Acuna has been used as almost a super sub for Holver Flores in his second year as Esteli head coach. So he is off the bench, and we're underway in this second 45. Esteli in the white jerseys with the red stripes as they continue to push for an opening goal against the pesky hosts. Big underdogs tonight, Junior Managua, but they have not played scared. And they have held their own in this contest, with Isaac Sequeira sending a ball a little bit too far for the reach of Jose Baltodano. So Edgar Castillo, who had a free header, nearly got on the end of a low cross that would have been a tap-in goal. He's out after 45 minutes. So Luis Acuna is in. He's appeared in all 7. Actually, this is his 7th of 8 Liga Primera matches he has appeared in, but has only started 2 of them. Meanwhile, mentioned Samuel Padilla, who was on the Nicaragua U20 men's national team, was just called up in the last international transfer window, although he did not appear in a match before the COVID shutdown. But he replaces Jose Carrion, who we really didn't get to tell you about, but Carrion was delayed in joining the club. The 31-year-old, who is a veteran of Liga Primera, was starting his 80th career Liga Primera match tonight for his 3rd team. But he was delayed in arriving. He played last season in Lithuania. And so still trying to get his full match fitness under his belt. Lasts just 45 minutes. That's only interesting just because Juan Barrera is so well known in Nicaragua, the number 11 for Esteli, and league's leading goal scorer with 9 goals through 7 matches. But Barrera is well known not only for that, not only for some of his dramatic goals at the international level, including a hat trick against Haiti to clinch a spot in the Gold Cup back in 2017 for Nicaragua. But Barrera is also well known because he was the first Nicaraguan ever to play in Europe. back in 2015 with Alltag in Austria. But he's not the only one now, as Jose Carrion, the 31-year-old Nicaraguan, just like Barrera is the 31-year-old himself. Carrion played for Atlantas in Lithuania last season. Appeared in 16 matches, so an interesting tidbit, although we really didn't see him much. He was not a factor in the opening 45. And so he makes way for the young, talented 18-year-old defender in Samuel Padilla. Esteli, they're going back to the well, though, as far as strategy. It was a lot of through balls, trying to get their timing runs, and they did link up on several of them, but whether it was poor finishing, whether it was a couple solid saves from Jeremy Espinoza, unable to find that opening goal for El Tren del Norte in that first half. And we'll see if Oliver Flores mixes it up. You'd honestly think he'd stick to the same strategy with the amount of chances they created. It's just a matter of being clinical once you get into that final third. And Esteli, who have seen their form dip just slightly over these past couple weeks, they got off to such a blistering start. It was almost impossible, if you look at Esteli's first 4 matches, to expect them to continue that pace, but they had a shaky 2-1 win at home against Jalapa that probably should have seen Luis Acuna sent off in that match for a blatant shove that was not seen by any official, and moments after that, Esteli got the game winner. A late winner, probably should have been a draw. Then they did draw 0-0 in this building at Walter Ferretti, and then a 1-0 narrowly contested match in El Clásico Nacional, and a match where Esteli finished with only 9 men. And Juan Barrera, he is serving his suspension tonight. He and Juan Barrera were both sent off in that match last Saturday. So it has not been straightforward for Esteli, despite their first place standing. And I didn't mention the League Cup, which has taken place over the past 2 Wednesdays and saw Esteli upset by their rivals Dirian Hen, 2-1 on aggregate, with a 2-0 second leg loss this past Wednesday in Diriamba. In front of what is probably one of the most, if not the most raucous crowds we've seen since Liga Primera allowed fans back into the stands. We've seen a smattering tonight. This is, of course, a big ground. This is where the national team plays, and Junior Managua are an incredibly young and small club, so just a few fans in that behind the goal stand to the right on your screen that you'll see Junior Managua try and attack this half. But this definitely has more of a feel like we saw in the Clausura Championship final when Esteli won 4-2 on aggregate over Managua on this ground to win their second straight Liga Primera tournament title. We've yet to see a card tonight, but it looks like that will change as Tatiana Guzman puts Cristian Gutierrez into the book for that challenge in the 51st minute. And Gutierrez picks up his second yellow card of the season. Tied for the team lead with 10 bookings last year, along with the suspended Juan Barrera. As I mentioned, if you missed it in the first half, how players they could choose between Liga Primera and the League Cup, which competition they could serve their 1-match red card suspension in. And so Juan Barrera sat out Wednesday. Juan Barrera sitting out tonight. Although, for what it's worth, Barrera did not play Wednesday either. But he's been battling a couple of nicks and knocks over the past couple of weeks. That might have been the reason. But either way, he's out of the team entirely tonight. 5 changes from Wednesday for Oliver Flores. 4 for Padron Acevedo, the first-year manager of Junior Managua. Good ball in. That's Gutierrez with a challenging header low. A full extension save from Espinoza. as he tickles the ball over the touchline out for a corner. And I was just about to say, it felt like the pace, for as frenzied as it was in the first 45, we hadn't seen a whole lot of action in our first 7 minutes, but that quickly changed. And Brandon Aertes, who led the team with 11 goals last year, has scored once this season, nearly puts that in. Luis Lopez, in just his second start of the year, has looked bright at times, created some chances. There, Aertes not close on his long-range effort. For Esteli, they had that 16-match unbeaten streak snapped on Wednesday night in their 2-0 loss at Dirian Hen. Mistake at the back here gives Esteli a pretty cheap throw. Richard Rodriguez's ball in is cleared away by the man who made that mistake in Wilder Wilson, and a corner for Esteli. However, that unbeaten streak does still live on in league play. All of those matches were in the league. But it's not as though Dirian Hen, after the last several years where Esteli have really owned that rivalry, the top two teams in the league. The Dirian Hen fans will not be forgetting that tie anytime soon, while Esteli will just try and move on, focus on Liga Primera, which most teams place a little more emphasis on that than in the League Cup. At least that's how it is in a lot of top international leagues. Can't definitively say that's the case in Nicaragua, but you would assume so. That they care more about Liga Primera than the League Cup. But it definitely felt important over the past couple weeks. And it was good timing, right as the league allowed fans back into the stands at a 50% capacity. Just in time for 3 straight El Clásico Nacional meetings between those two most winningest clubs in Nicaraguan club history. Esteli winning 2, Dirian Hen winning the other. In the meantime, 10 minutes into our second half, Denver Fox. Now, hearing some of the shrieks from those home fans, operating outside of that comfortable keeper territory, but looked pretty calm as he clears it away. And now we'll collect this ball on the hop. Now for Junior Managua, this has turned into bend but do not break. Acuna, the halftime sub, able to thread this ball to Luis Lopez. Low cross coming in. Sent out by Mike Cruz, the former Esteli man. This ball takes a crazy deflection and just goes over the bar. Wow. I'll have to get another look there because it hit somebody from a ways out. Richard Rodriguez, I think that hit off the head of a defender and just goes over the bar. You could tell based on the leap that Jeremy Espinoza felt like he was beaten. Rodriguez with the flick on attempt. Garcia not close on the follow-up. First ever meeting between these two teams. And historically, the gap could not be wider as far as success. Esteli has finished top 5 in the aggregate table each of the last 34 years and have appeared in the last 5 championship tournaments, of which they've won 3. Had a stretch where they won 8 straight overall titles from 2006 to 2014. While Junior Managua are only in their 5th year as a club and are in their first season in Liga Primera with 1 win through 7 matches, but they've been impressive despite not having the talent. They have enough veteran guys, though, to hold them together as a unit, and some intriguing and high upside young prospects. And they've made some of those, as you would expect from a young team, some of those growing pain type mistakes, but held together by the 6 on the squad with championship pedigree, including 2 who have won titles with the Train of the North in Cruz and Bismarck Montiel. Saw Carlos Membreño take a knock at the end of the first half, but he's back in and looks to be okay. He also won a title with Walter Ferretti back in the 2017 Apertura. Juan Rosales, who is available off the bench. And you see the Esteli players getting loose. You'd think Rosales would factor in. He was a sub last weekend as well. Has been a sub in the last 2 games, in fact, for Junior Managua. And they'll have the free kick retaken here, and maybe a yellow card, not sure. Luis Lopez not happy. But it did look like he was standing right in front of Montiel, who was ready to take that free kick. So no card. But just a stern talking to from Tatiana Guzman, our lead official tonight. So Rosales and Membreño, they each won titles with Walter Ferretti, albeit in different seasons. Isaac Sequeira, a starter tonight, winning the 18 Apertura with Managua. And Luis Gaitan was on that same team in 2018 with the Blue Lions. And that's what you need, making that transition if you want to stay up, and that is the chief goal. Only one team is automatically relegated. That's the 10th place team, which last year was Las Sabanas. 9th place goes to the relegation playoff, which was narrowly won by the Liga Primera team in Jalapa. They needed a late goal to win that 4-3 on aggregate over Deportivo Masaya last year. So at least if you finish 9th, you'll have a fighting chance. You'll get a 2-legged tie against the team from a lower side to stay in the league. It's just 10th you have to avoid. Ayrdes plays it out wide. Cross finds Luis Lopez on a hop. Low ball into the box. Garcia's attempt is blocked out. A good job by the 18-year-old Padilla, the halftime sub, who knocks it out for a corner. And on the hour mark, we see our second sub of the night. And there is the aforementioned Juan Rosales. So I guess my timing was pretty good. Former league champion with Walter Ferretti has scored 17 career goals in Liga Primera. By far the leader among junior Managua players, as he replaces, in a like-for-like move, Jose Baltorano at the striker position, one of 2. He and Isaac Sequeira leading the front line. So Rosales is on for the final half hour. We'll see what impact that makes. And we'll just forget that corner even happened. It was a poor one, but dealt with equally as poorly. So we'll do it again. Much better ball, and there is contact on the header, but sent out of play. Should note, in defense to that last sequence we saw, it is slick on the pitch tonight. Has been raining throughout most of the evening in Managua. And a little bit to the north of here in Diriamba even forced the postponements with torrential downpours and thunderstorms of the Dirianhen Managua match. Brought back after a foul. They say Richard Rodriguez is the guilty party on Austin Reyes. So after a lively first half, outside of the one chance for Ayrdes in this second half, we really haven't seen much from either side, and a bit surprising that Esteli, after carving up the Junior Managua defense on about a half dozen occasions in that first half, still yet to make a big push forward since the halftime break. Maybe it'll be right here. Luis Acuna takes a little bump and does earn a free kick. Acuna, one of those valuable veteran pieces who's been a literal journeyman, playing in 4 different countries, some for his native Argentina, Chile, as well as some time in the 2nd division in Mexico before coming to Liga Primera. This is his first Liga Primera team. Marlon Lopez looking for Garcia. The speedster, is that out of play? I think it is. He got to it, but Garcia unable to make contact before that ball crosses the touchline. And it is out for a goal kick. But that signing of Acuna, and you think about, even though he's not the starting keeper tonight, but the signing of Rodrigo Romo, it does tell you a lot about, for a small country like Nicaragua, who's not a huge player on the international stage, the depth of scouting and global recognition that Real Esteli has. It's really impressive. You can't deny it. And that comes with the winning acumen they've built up. And they'll be hoping to showcase more of their players in the CONCACAF Champions League. They're in the CONCACAF League. And here the flag stays down. Ayerdes was free and sends his shot wide. Wow, I think Ayerdes might have thought that flag was coming up for sure, but it stayed down and could have easily been 1-0. Almost had too much time to think about where he wanted to go. And that has been the story of the night from an Esteli perspective. 11 shots in the first half, 5 on target. Had a couple more to that tally in this second half, and still no goals. And just to finish the thought on the CONCACAF League, that qualifying starts in about a month. CONCACAF League, it's a 16-team elimination tournament to try and qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. Esteli trying to make it for the 5th time. Last appearing in 2017, and that is a huge source of exposure. As you get to potentially play against MLS teams, Liga MX, that's a big deal for a Liga Primera club. Nice little turn by Ayerdes. Acuna chips it in. Good ball for Barrera, but he is in an offside position. In fact, you think about CONCACAF Champions League, if Esteli does in fact make it there. But Manuel Rosas, he has the longest tenured Esteli man. He anchors that back line. But he scored against Toronto FC from MLS back in the 2011 CONCACAF Champions League group stage. And you see Rosas, the number 7 in the white, helping defend against the 7 in blue, Juan Rosales. Oh, nice little touch here, looking to pick out Rosales, but it's over his head. Finds Olston Reyes on that ball from Mike Cruz. And it's out for an Esteli throw. You can tell the respect the Esteli defenders have for Rosales, double teaming him. He scored the club's first ever top flight goal in the 49th minute of a 1-0 home win against Jalapa on match day 2. He also scored in their 2-2 draw against Chinandega. 2 of the 6 goals. And here comes Junior Managua again, looking to find Rosales. Ball a little bit too far for his reach. And it's tough to break down at solid defensive unit like Esteli, just only trying to pick out one player, but Junior Managua just happy to have a little bit more extended possession after they did a lot of defending against the heavy push from the visitors in that opening 45. Each team have had chances, Esteli certainly with more. Good ball played through, chance for Sequeira, and a crucial block at the last second by Oscar Acevedo to force a corner. It looked like he was onside. That's a nice look on the replay, and Acevedo had to go full extension just to concede the corner. And we will get our final sub for Junior Managua tonight. Mike Cruz, the former Real Esteli player, scored a goal in 14 matches as part of the 2019 Clausura Championship team. He is off, and the only player on the roster from Esteli, Stuart Castillo, is in. Castillo, in just his second appearance, the 20-year-old, came on as a sub in Junior's only win this season in that match against Jalapa, so maybe a good omen for the hosts. As Bismarck Montiel takes the corner. The header as far out as Marlon Lopez trying to start the counter, but Aiertes is deemed to have pushed off. And a night that started pretty open, end to end. Felt like for sure we would see a goal in the first half. It was stunning to get to the break at 0-0, and actually I should correct myself, they pulled it back, foul on Junior Managua. So it is a free kick for Esteli, not a foul on Aiertes, but to see us now in the 70th minute, if it was astounding to not have a goal in the first half, it is truly stunning to still be sitting here 0-0 with the types of chances created by each team tonight. You would still expect, based on how the pace and the play has looked so far, that we would get a goal before the night is over. Junior Managua, all the cards are on the table for the perceived minnows. 2 subs left for Esteli. They'll be getting Alexis Somariba ready to enter in a moment. But first it's Henry Garcia down that favored right flank. Good ball toward Luis Lopez. Has to track it down in the corner. Then with that ball out of play, we should now see our sub, and we will. Alexis Somariba, who scored the game-winning goal against Jalapa about a minute after coming on as a sub. He appears for the 4th time this year, all off the bench, and the Esteli native, now in his 3rd stint with the Train of the North, replaces Brandon Aiertes. So both subs for Esteli have been at the 2 of the 3 striker positions. Luis Acuna sending this ball in. And so maybe not a surprise that that's where Oliver Flores looks to substitute-wise because of, for whatever reason, the poor quality Esteli have had in the final third tonight, despite just a bevy of chances. And good ones at that. Unmarked free headers. They sent 2 inside the 6 over the bar from an unmarked position in the first half. But Aiertes is off. He worked hard in his 70-plus minutes. Still, though, his goal-scoring form is not where it was at the end of last year, when he led the team with 11 goals and scored crucial playoff goals in both the Apertura and Clausura title runs. But just 1 goal now in 8 matches for Aiertes this year. Richard Rodriguez is able to find Luis Acuna. Some nifty dribbling, earns a foul from the 31-year-old Argentine. Hear some of those shouts, most coming from the touchline. A smattering of fans in the ground tonight. Acuna, a hopeful cross in, looking for Somariba, who just entered. And Junior Managua looks for the break. But Rosales unable to find his teammate Olston Reyes streaking down the left touchline. A couple minutes away from our second half cooling break as we still look for a goal. But if you compare this to the 0-0 that Esteli had in this same building a couple weeks ago at Walter Ferretti, it has been completely different. Luis Acuna sends a low ball in, that's easily corralled by Espinoza. Each team with great chances. Two really good ones for Junior Managua, and I've lost count, to be honest, of the number of chances for Esteli. There have been that many that you thought would be put in. And we'll see an injured player well behind the play now, and a stoppage. Tatiana Guzman will go ahead and give a check. That is Bismarck Montiel, the 25-year-old. And that gets a hand as he looks to be okay. Playing in his 131st career game tonight in Liga Primera. He has the second most experience of anybody, only behind Membreño, who's played over 150 Liga Primera matches for Junior Managua. So as we've reached our second half cooling break, it's not all youth for this Tiburone side. And even though they've probably been fortunate to not concede with the types of looks Esteli has had, you have to give them a lot of credit for the way they've hung in tough. And now the goal for Tyrone Acevedo, whose side have drawn 5 straight matches in all competitions. Can they hang on for what would be a huge point? Every point always big in that fight for survival, and that's what it will be this year for Junior Managua. You see Holver Flores, youngest manager in Liga Primera history when he was hired last season following the 2019 Apertura regular season campaign. Hired as a 22-year-old, and his first match in charge was against arch rival Dirian Hen in the Apertura tournament semifinals. Not the easiest of debuts. Here you see Holver Flores, but he won that tie. Beat Managua, and then backed it up with another Dirian Hen semifinal, Managua final championship run in the 2020 Spring Clausura. And that was all while having to deal with, as we all know, the pandemic and playing behind closed doors. Dealing with new enhanced safety protocols for all those matches. So he has been quite the rising star, the Esteli native. But right now, it's been a frustrating spell. Going on now over 165 minutes without a goal. And just one goal in the last 3 matches for, actually I should correct myself, just 2 goals over the last 5 matches if you really want to extrapolate for Real Esteli, which is a bit stunning considering how many they were pouring in the first few matches of the season. 16 in the first 7. But the bulk of those coming in the opening 4 fixtures for Real Esteli. Have about a quarter hour to find one here and get back to winning ways as Luis Lopez, a little deep on the cross. He and Henry Garcia, each on their respective flank, have had a lot of those balls just a little bit too heavy on their crosses tonight. One more sub is left, by the way, for Real Esteli, and it will come now. The veteran Jorge Betancourt, who led the team nearly 3,000 minutes played last season, Hasn't featured as heavily, but still getting a lot of run. He comes in for Henry Garcia, so the final sub comes in the midfield. Again, Over Flores content with his defense. It's all about the final third right now. There's a pretty good ball, but again, just wide of the target. As Jeremy Espinoza will take an extra couple seconds as he lays on his backside. Somehow, with his clean sheet still intact. That was Luis Acuna on that delivery. So the question has shifted from how many goals will we see tonight to will we see a goal? Still looking for our first one. Nearing the 80th minute. If he had to pick, you'd think Esteli would be the ones who score, but they've squandered so many great opportunities. Could it be Junior Managua in their first season at the top flight, in their first ever meeting against Esteli, who snatched one against the run of play? By the way, I should correct a score I mentioned earlier, Walter Ferretti, and I mentioned it was Jalapa. Actually, they've had some scheduled changes. It was actually Ocotal that Ferretti played, and while that match initially was coming across as 0-0, it was just a delayed scoreline. The final was actually 2-0. Walter Ferretti beating Ocotal. So as of right now, Ferretti and Esteli would each have 20 points in the live table if this result holds. Esteli, they would be the leaders on goal differential, but would have been caught out back to even with Ferretti. Another cross attempt is stymied. This time Betancourt can't get it past Steven Caceres. So that's a huge development as Esteli tracking the results. That was a match played earlier here. Esteli, obviously, they knew the result. It was just a delay as we're broadcasting remotely, getting that result in. The league takes some time usually to get those scores made official, and so sometimes they're a little bit delayed, and that was the case here. But if this match holds, you'll see Esteli joined at the hip by Walter Ferretti. Esteli only leading on goal differential now at 20 points atop the league. But as it should be pointed out, first place, not a huge deal as long as you finish top two in the regular season. It's all about that knockout Apertura tournament that will be played at the end of the 18 match days. That really counts. Meanwhile, Real Madrid's playing Juventus tomorrow night. That's a team that Junior Managua will be keeping their eye on because Madrid sit bottom of the table, just 3 points so far. While Junior Managua tied with Juventus for 8th at 6 points right now. Junior sitting 9th on goal differential. Meanwhile, Dirian Hen, a disappointing 7th in the table, and equally disappointing Managua, who are 5th. They had their match tonight postponed. That was made official by the league about an hour ago, and they will play tomorrow as a result. Things getting a little testy as we've reached our final 10 minutes. This will be a second straight 0-0 for Esteli played at this venue, the Estadio Nacional. And they'll be back here next Saturday night taking on the Blue Lions of Managua. First meeting since that 4-2 Clausura two-legged championship victory. Barrera chases this ball. Can he find the score sheet? 9 goals to lead all Liga Primera scorers. Cross from Lopez, header on. It's right to the touchline. Does it go in? I don't think so. Oh, Jorge Betancourt did everything but score. as he got a touch to that ball with his head, it looked like. And, oh, it hit the inside of the bar. How did it not go in? My goodness, a ball that, this deserves another look or two or three. Oh, that is as close as you can come to scoring without scoring. And unless we have a shot right down that touchline, I don't think they have at this stadium. And no goal line technology, obviously it's going to be the call on the pitch. But that looked like it came straight across the line, and the ball did not completely cross, which it has to be a good goal. Well, if that doesn't sum up the night from an attacking perspective for Esteli, I'm not sure what does. And on top of all of that, I think just the awkward lunge there, you do have to give credit to Espinoza for, at least when that ball came off the bar. You see sometimes keepers accidentally knock those types of balls into their own net, but Espinoza kept it out but injured himself in the process. Keep in mind, Junior Managua, they have used all three subs tonight, as have Esteli, so Espinoza nowhere for him to go. They'll try and stretch out that leg and hang in there for the final 7+ minutes, but that's after all the close calls for Esteli. You thought for sure would be the moment where the giant club in this meeting of defending league champion versus newly promoted, first-time promoted side would be the chance for them to go ahead, but not to be. Still 0-0. Betancourt has not scored this season after finishing second on the team last year with 7 goals. So he and Aiertes, who combined for 18 last season for Esteli, just 1 between the two of them in now 15 combined matches in Liga Primera this year. Pretty good corner there. Official Tatiana Guzman says it took a slight touch by a Junior Managua defender. So another corner. 5 minutes and change to go for the league leaders trying to find the winner. Headed back across goal, and Acevedo had a good lash but sends it wide. Now, Esteli wanted a handball on that initial headed down. And Acevedo, I hope he can get another look, but he had a good amount of space in his own right. I don't know, maybe distracted by all those appeals for handball. Either way, sends it wide of the goal mouth. You can just see the frustration building for Esteli. And they definitely respect the amount of talent Junior Managua has, but despite that, they still feel they should be ahead in this match, and not by just a goal. It should be more than that. Finishing is really the name of the game, and that's why Oliver Flores has made all of his substitutions in that attacking part of the pitch. Still yet to see it pay off, though. As Junior Managua, in the meantime, just scrapping for every point they can, playing extremely inspired soccer. Cherishing every minute of their first top-flight season, are trying to go for a 4th straight draw in Liga Primera and 6th consecutive draw in all competitions, which is just a remarkable stat if this scoreline holds. Still feels like Esteli will have at least another, maybe 2 more chances to push forward. Alexis Somariba to an offside Luis Acuna. He was well offside there. And it's another goal kick. Should mention Esteli without one of of their most experienced players, who serves as a captain at times alongside Manuel Rosas and Josue Quijano. He is out of the team tonight. Acuna pulls it back, took a deflection, and couldn't be saved right away by Espinoza. He has to crawl out and cover with Barrera right there. That was so close to finding Juan Barrera after the deflection. First ball in from Acuna. And yet another player down for Junior Managua. That close to the 10th goal of the year for Juan Barrera. Just a couple more minutes of regular time to go. Junior Managua, it's probably fair to say at this point, clinging to this 0-0 draw, but they've not been afraid to push forward at times, have been susceptible to offensive attacks and giving up crosses and through balls into dangerous areas, but so far Esteli has not been able to take advantage, and now this free kick, not only does it give Junior Managua a chance at a set piece, get a ball into the box, but also allows them to take some more time off the clock. And we'll see too if Tyrone Acevedo, veteran manager, coaching his 6th Liga Primera side in his career, they've conceded late in 2 different matches that they ended up drawing. We'll see if this fairly young team has learned its lesson and can avoid doing that. And those can take so much out of you just emotionally to play well for that long and end up conceding. Not much of a challenge there, though, on that free kick. Right to Denver Fox, and he'll look to start the outlet. Luis Lopez booms a ball forward. Touch on the far side coming. Henry Garcia out of the match now. His substitute on inside, and that was actually Acuna who sends it up and over the bar. He had Betancourt, Garcia's sub, right alongside him, but Acuna, who's been mostly on that left side, does cut back in with that left foot and sends it too high. And Juan Barrera, that reaction suggesting maybe not the right play to go for goal from that position for Acuna. But now eyes turn toward the officiating crew and the 4 added minutes put up by Bayardo Juarez down at the touchline. That's for Junior Managua, the time they have left to see this thing out and earn another draw. And how much more time there is for Esteli to avoid falling into a tie at the top of the table with Walter Ferretti. They have given the keeper Espinoza a card for time wasting. But it is Junior Managua right now with possession. Cut out by Manuel Rosas, and now here comes another push for Esteli. Juan Barrera with his 9 goals in 7 games so far. Good ball looking for Somariba, but no magic this time for the man who scored in the waning minutes against Jalapa a couple weeks ago, Alexis Somariba. In his first match back with the team, his 3rd stint for the Train of the North. And that's the look of a bench that feels like it's lost a match. This is one of those matches that will feel like a loss for Esteli, even if it is a draw. And a match that will feel like a win on the other side for Junior Managua, even with the 1 point. Still time left, and there have been an unbelievable amount of chances. There will not be one here, though, as it's an offside flag on Juan Barrera. Clearly the right decision. But as is so common the case in these end-of-match scenarios, just becomes a time-wasting game for the team trying to hang on. And we'll see another card. Actually, they pull it back. And this comes to the touchline. Somebody on the bench for Junior Managua will go into the book. And they do pull that back. Interesting. After Barrera was clearly offside, but instead it's Luis Acuna who has a chance at a free kick now. And this is a break for Esteli. That attempt at a counterattack looked to be over. Instead, Acuna sends it in, nearly falls for Luis Lopez. It's just side straight up and booted as far back as near midfield. Rosas, the leader of that back three, pushing all the way up into opponent territory, but can't find his target. As we're into the final 90 seconds of stoppage time. 0-0 between Junior Managua and Real Esteli. Rosas, the expert defender, his 11th year with the club. The 36-year-old from Guadalajara, Mexico, cuts that out on the low crossing attempt. And we see yet another card. Some frustration for Austin Reyes as he goes into the book. Been a pretty clean match, though, in that regard. We've only seen a couple cards given out. I think 4 or 5 in total, and 3 of them have come in the last couple minutes. Does Esteli have one more push? Luis Acuna's cross. Headed clear. The shouts coming down from the touchline. Both coaches urging their players on as Luis Lopez able to flick this ball but comfortably into the arms of Jeremy Espinoza. And that might be all as we approach our final seconds of stoppage time. And that is it. A huge point for the new boys, Junior Managua, as Los Tiburones, in their season-long relegation scrap, able to pick up a 4th straight draw in the league, while Esteli had so many opportunities but ultimately could not find the back of the net. There were about 6 or 7 glorious chances that they will rue at the end of this one. Despite 21 shots, 10 of them on goal, it's a 0-0 scoreline as Esteli falls into a tie for first at the top of the table with Walter Ferretti through 8 match days. It's been a fun one tonight, even though we didn't have any goals. A thrilled Junior Managua. Another frustrating evening, though, for Esteli, who failed to score for the 2nd consecutive match in all competitions. I'm Ben Wilson saying so long from the nation's capital. Again, our final score, it's Real Esteli 0 and Junior Managua 0.
Richard, llámame a Barrera.
Bueno, un sabor súper amargo porque teníamos que haber ganado el juego, creo que lo demostramos en el terreno, lo demostramos en los 90 minutos, además de eso yo creo que mejoramos muchísimo con respecto a los últimos 4 partidos que habíamos tenido, a pesar de que se habían ganado los partidos con el anterior del Dirigen que se perdió, tuvimos bastante.